Hello, everyone. As promised, we're back on the live stream at 4:30 sharp with New Orleans writers, The Next Generation. And I'm really excited about this one because we're closing out with the Louisiana Poet Laureate. But let me tell you, the young writers of this city, I would not be surprised if the one day Louisiana Poet Laureate is going to read for us today. So I am so excited about New Orleans writers, The Next Generation. And I'm also incredibly excited about the MC for this session, Anel Lopez. What can we say about Anel? She has been one of Words and Music's most dedicated believers since we first started directing this festival in 2018. Anel has volunteered, Anel has curated panels, Anel has moderated panels, Anel has done social media. We cannot thank Anel enough for her work with Words and Music. And we are so proud that with all the things you have going on, you choose to give us your time because she's not just, volunteer extraordinaire. She's also a Tin House Scholarship finalist whose fiction has appeared in American Short Fiction, Michigan Quarterly Review, Hobart, The Pinch, and elsewhere. Anel is an assistant fiction editor for the New Orleans Review. She's a Dominican immigrant. She's working on a collection of short stories and a novel. She can be found on Instagram under Anel the Book Babe. And she is also an educator, which is why we thought Anel would be the perfect person to work with a panel of young people. So take it away, Anel Lopez.
Hi, Megan. Hi, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be back here at Words of Music. It is so good to have this panel, to be moderating this panel today. I'm really excited for just the amazing literature that I've had the opportunity to read from young people, from younger people. Specifically from students from NOCA, and I'm really excited to introduce one of our writers today. And so today we're going to have Donatella, who will be reading for one of her peers. Their name is Dylan. And here is Dylan's bio. Dylan Warden is a senior at NOCA. They write about intricate romantic relationships as well as mental health. They draw some of their inspiration from Virginia Woolf. And today, Donatella Henry, which I will tell you more about in a little bit, will be reading a piece from Dylan.
Hi, all right, so I'm Donatella Henry, and I'm going to be reading Dylan's poetry piece, Note to Self, Psychoanalytic Edition. The drip is an incessant background music to my 2 a.m. thoughts. It deepens the spiral that I begin to go down. The thoughts come in non-coherent waves. Wave 1, fear. My subconscious brings forth a knocking on the front door. It's one I know all too well. He has returned, but this time my brother doesn't stand beside him in a drug-induced haze, because how could he possibly stand when his pulse has stopped and time is frozen on the bathroom floor? Wave 2, loss. I see the bullet enter his chest. Is that where he was shot? The news never specified. We all found out later than we should have. He slips from my grip as sunset devolves into nightfall. The vintage yellow Mustang bursts into pretty orange flames. How fitting it must have been for him to die in a fire, when he always loved them so much. I see his eyes lose their glimmer of mischief that used to always be coupled with that typical smirk. He was cocky, a bit of an egomaniac, really. I loved him anyway. I love him anyway. Wave 3, love. It's a particular emptiness. It's an organized messiness. It's a beat me black and blue to show you to show me you love me, to repent for your sins, apologize on your knees, a sour taste in my mouth, the aftertaste contrasts due to its sweetness. The ending is one we tiptoe around, not wishing to be on the wrong side of a teen true love story. One day it'll be something to laugh about, they say. The pain you feel now won't be lasting, they say. Sure, last month's meaningless cheating boyfriend won't mean anything. In fact, he already doesn't. But what stays, what really sticks out with me, is memories of how the one I was actually in love with made me bleed, bruise, and cry. That hasn't left me. It won't leave me. But if it makes you more comfortable, I'll try to push it down just a little bit harder. Reinforce the repression, they say. Build up the walls, they say. Okay, I reply. I must admit, I am rather defeated. Wave 4, lust. I long to swallow every lie from his lips before they're even spoken. I draw his bottom lip between my teeth. His hands grip so harshly my hips are sure to be bruised the next day. Or they would be, if he had gotten addicted to me instead of cigarettes. I crave him, needing oh so desperately to be pushed against the crumbling brick wall. Wave 5, sadness. The boy who proclaims anarchy and intense love for black eyeshadow lurks in the corners of my mind, only showing himself when I'm at my very weakest, to prey upon my emotions and overtake the empty feeling, deepening it and making it about him, as everything must always be about him. Equating sadness to love is a habit I have yet to grow out of. When was the last time I loved without tears streaming down my face? Sadness has been taught to me as something to push down eternally, but I've run out of space. I can no longer shove down yet another emotion. I'm sorry, Father, for I have lost my will to control the feelings that I unwillingly let seep out. And that's Dylan's piece.
Wow, that was really powerful. Thank you so much, Donatella, for sharing. And I cannot wait to hear Donatella's work and to tell everyone a little bit about Donatella. Donatella Henry is a senior at the New Orleans Center for Creative Arts. She is primarily a poet and writes about nature, family, and grieving. She hopes to find ways to combine her love of writing and environmental studies in the future. And let's give it up for Donatella.
All right. So I'm going to be reading 2 poems, and I'm going to start off with Protozoan Parasite. I ended a poem talking about wanting to crawl into the monarch chrysalis on my porch. I wanted to be transformed and emerge from a silky green womb, a new person. 2 days later, black film began to creep across the delicate green casing, grasping the changing caterpillar in its thorn-like claws. I felt a grasp tighten on my throat. Within less than a week, the whole chrysalis transformed not into a butterfly, but into a pouch of black poison dripping down the side of my peach-colored house. My brother removed the shriveled poison chrysalis and threw it in the garbage. I noticed it laying among eggshells and rotted spinach, and knew I would not emerge either. So that's my first piece. And I hope it kind of shows like how I'm thinking about the environment and things that are going on with that, and also poetry. And then my second piece is called This Is My Church. A choir of cicadas in iridescent robes warm their vocal cords in preparation for a midnight gospel. Canadian geese perusing the lake outside my window shuffle their children off to Sunday school among lily pads. Dew slides down the petals of white water lilies the way sweat falls into the eyes of sinners kneeling in a pew. A bullfrog thuds into a muddy pulpit, ready to croak his sermons under the watchful eye of a blue heron. Green herons spew hallelujahs and amens in turn, setting off a kerfuffle of cricket frogs asleep in the reeds. I wade barefoot through the flooded grass outside my front door and sway to the melody of bullfrogs, geese, herons, cicadas, and know this is the closest I will ever be to God's. And yeah, so those are my 2 pieces. I hope you enjoyed.
Wow, that was incredible. Wow. Donatella, you are a treasure. I, listening to you read that piece, I was, very much into the piece that you're reading, but also a little bit distracted by the fact that you are a high school senior. And it's just incredible to me the level of work that you are producing, because it sounds like it's coming from a writer that has been working forever. So that was fantastic. Thank you so much for reading that. That was incredible. Tell me a little bit more. Why the environment?
I have always grown up being interested in the environment and environmental studies. My mom is a professor of ecology and evolutionary biology, so it's always kind of been something in my life. But I recently, my junior year, I took a course on environmental studies, an honors course, and it really just kind of opened my eyes to, that this is a big deal, like preserving our environment and learning about it and educating people on, what's going on with the environment is just a really important part of living life at this point in time, right? Like we're dealing with a lot of impending things like climate change and the extinctions of a lot of really amazing creatures that like most people don't really get to experience. And so, yeah, I really wanted to kind of figure out a way in my writing to kind of talk about those issues, as well as like, I mean, I love poetry. I love all that kind of stuff. And so just like, how do I, mix those two? And I don't know, I hope that like, like in the first one, protozoa and parasite, that was a really big deal this year with monarch butterflies, was that these protozoa and parasites were going and destroying the chrysalists. And so we saw a really big decline in monarchs, and it's really sad, because like it's hard because I'm seeing in my lifetime as a 17-year-old the difference of last year counting 300 monarch butterflies as I drove to school, and this year seeing maybe 50, due to these different challenges that these insects are facing. And then with the second poem kind of saying like, I feel like there is a sort of like religious nature to nature and the environment. As a non-religious person myself, it's a way to really feel connected with something, and it's a really, I don't know, it's really important to, I feel like, who I am as a person and a writer and a thinker.
That's incredible to hear you talk about the environment like that, and to have those observations that you're drawing from your everyday life, and to make that such a meaningful part of your work is really inspiring. Donatella, thank you so much for reading to us today. For the work that you are creating. I can't wait to read your work everywhere because I'm sure it's just a matter of time. Congratulations to you for the amazing work that you're producing. And I definitely look forward to hearing you read or reading your work somewhere soon. Thank you for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Donatella, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, of course.
It was wild. We heard who one of Dylan's big inspirations was, which is Virginia Woolf. Who inspires you?
Oh, that's such a big question. Would it be okay if I answer with like two people?
You can answer with as many people as you want.
Perfect. So recently we read, I'm going to try to pronounce her name right. World of Wonders by Amy Mizuku Matahio. And she was so amazing to read because her collection World of Wonders is like this series of like essays talking about like different animals and how they related to like her growing up as a woman of color, and like all these different like and like as a mother, and like all these different aspects in her life. And just the way that she wrote about nature was really inspiring to me. And it was also really cool because I had written a lot of this stuff that I just read before I read her work, and I was like, whoa, like it felt very similar. And so it was that was just a really awesome experience for me to be able to like see someone writing the way that I want to be writing, and really kind of draw inspiration from that, and also just feel like a togetherness with reading writers like that. So that was really an inspiration to me. And then I did an independent study like over the course of a year on Alice Walker, and her poetry just blew me away. And as you talked about in my bio, like I write a lot about kind of like grieving and family relationships, but also nature and how that reacts to like the natural world, and how the natural world is changing. And just immersing myself in her work for a year was really, I think, beneficial to that process. So yeah, I think those two are really big influences. And then I'm sorry, I was like thought of another one. Was we were studying romantic poets at NOCA, and we read the poem, it's a very popular poem, Daffodils by Wordsworth.
Mm-hmm.
And he compares the vastness of a field of daffodils to the vastness of the stars in the sky. And I really just I took that line very seriously because he's writing pre-industrial revolution, like right before it. And then now, like when I look at the sky, I don't see like millions of stars. Like it's a very different image conjured up if I was to compare a field of flowers to the sky that I see at night. And so that really like hit me hard, was like, wow, like in, not just looking at scientific studies, but also just looking at poetry, we can see the amount of change that's happened in the environment. And it's devastating, but it's also really, I think, powerful that we can see it through writing and through poetry. And I guess like, yeah, that kind of inspired me to like further use poetry and writing as means of educating people and getting my message across of what I really want to communicate and say. So yeah, those are just some people that I've been thinking about a lot.
That's really cool. I hope that you write an answer poem to Daffodils, like Daffodils 2021.
Like that's in progress right now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
You gonna come read it for us next year?
Absolutely.
Sure, why not? Awesome. We're gonna look forward to that. And now, do you have anything you'd like to close with? Donatella, any final remarks?
I'm just so blown away by Donatella and the way that she is describing her work.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to the work itself, it's just so magical. I feel inspired.
Me too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has just been a really nice experience because I feel like it's hard to like, find a space to like really just talk about what you're passionate about, even with other writers sometimes. And yeah, thank you for letting me have that.
Thank you for being here to share it with us. We cannot wait to see what you do next. Donatella, everybody, if you're in the virtual world, snaps and claps. It's the All right. I think we are going to close this very short Young Writers of New Orleans session. We will see you back here at 6 o'clock with the Louisiana Poet Laureate, Dr. Mona Lisa Saloy. Thank you all so much for spending this time with us, however brief, and we will see you soon.